What's up? Says here. Today on my workflow, I want to show you guys my top 5 most used plugins in my sessions. And 9 out of 10, if you check my session, you will find these plugins for sure. And hopefully I'm able to show you guys how I use these plugins and I'm able to get the best out of these plugins to get the best result. Without further ado, let's get into it. In no particular order, at number 5, we have Pro Q3 by FabFilter. Pro Q3 is an EQ plugin. By far, for me, that's one of the most advanced, accurate sounding EQs that I've ever used. It's a clean EQ, so there are no coloring to this EQ. It's not designed after an analog console. And that for me is very important because if I want to do surgical cleanups on my mix, or I'm trying to add some linear frequencies to my mix and I'm not really looking for analog coloring, this is the best EQ for me. Now, I used Pro Q3 in 3 different ways. I use it for 3 different processes, right? So firstly, I use Pro Q3 like a normal EQ. You know, I can boost, I can cut, I can do a low cut, I can do a, high cut, all the normal, things that you can do with an EQ, which is pretty nice. Before we go on, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you like my content and if you need me to do more stuff and show you guys more of my workflow. So thanks. The next thing that I can do with Pro Q is I can do some dynamic processing. I can actually do some type of multi-band compression with the EQ. So I can decide that let me tame the highs of this drum and I can say make dynamic. So this way, I'm controlling the highs with just the EQ. If I take it out, you can see the highs coming out. But if I put it back on, I'm controlling those highs, right? So this way, I can successfully use the Pro Q3 to do some multi-band processing, some multi-band compression, without having a multi-band compressor. And then finally, third way that I use Pro Q is for actual stereo separation. I use it for stereo enhancement. So for example, my highs, I can say, I'm trying to throw them to the side. So I'll just open my Pro Q, choose stereo placement, and then choose the side. So now this boost that I'm putting to the highs is only going to come from the side. I'm only doing it to the side. So that makes my drum sound, wider. So for example, now that I have my sides, I have my highs to the side. If you're listening with a headphone or speaker, then you can hear that my shakers and everything in the highs are really spread out. If I take it off, you can see that things are a bit more mono, things are a bit more put together. But if I put it back on, exactly. Also, I can decide that I'm trying to boost the mid in my low frequency so that my kicks and everything are hitting like in my chest, right? I'll change the stereo placement to mid and then I'll boost that mid frequency. Now you can hear that kick. If I solo it, that's where the kick is at, right? So let me take it off so you see the difference. Right. You can see the kick coming out. You can hear that when the plugin is off, when Pro Q is off, everything just sounds very unexciting. But when I put it back on, my drum sounds wide, my kick is hitting, right in my chest. So this is how I use Pro Q3, an EQ that can do 3 different types of processing, which is the normal EQ. I can use it for dynamic processing, and then I can actually use it for stereo enhancement. That is dope. Number 4, right? Yeah. Number 4, any type of Channelstrip plugin. But for me, I use the SSL Channelstrip because not all, but most Channelstrip plugins are emulations of the SSL console, right? So it just makes sense for me to use the actual plugin that was designed by the company that made the legendary SSL console, right? I love to have a Channelstrip plugin in my session because for me, they are like multi-purpose plugins. A standard Channelstrip will have EQs, they will have a compressor, a gate section, and some have like drive where you can add some analog feel to it. So I use the SSL native Channelstrip too. Pretty simple. Like I said, we have the filters where I can do my low and high chords. I have the EQ section here, right? Then I have my compressors here. I have my gates and my expander here. And here I can work with the width and the stereo placement of the song. That can really help your workflow in a case where you want to add a bit of shaping to your sound and you want to do some quick compression. If you don't have any great compressor around, a channel strip like this is the perfect go-to for you. So for example, if I'm just trying to maybe touch up on this particular synth, I can just load the SSL. I boost some highs. I do some low cuts to clean up those lows. I can decide that I want to do a bit of compression. Right. So if I want to gate also, I can decide that let me do a bit of expansion. Oh, no, maybe gating. Increase the range, maybe reduce the threshold. Exactly. Maybe that's too much. All right, so that I can, get out the tail of the sound. SSL channel strip or any type of channel strip that you have that can give you the basic functions like I just explained will be perfect for my workflow or for your workflow, right? Because like I said, it can help you do those heavy lifting, those quick, edits and stuff. Right, at number 3 is Decapitator by Soundtoys. One of my favorite saturation plugins ever created. I'm such a huge fan of this plugin because it's modeled after different types of analog gears. It helps you add that analog feel, that warmth, that life into your mix, especially if you work in the box. Like if you use just DAWs all through your production and you don't have any outboard like gears to add those analog effects to your song. Decapitator is a great way for you to, add some of that and to drive your song and give your song that sweet saturation, right? I use saturation on everything. I saturate everything in my song. It's just my thing. I just like the way saturation sounds. Sorry. Say, okay, I like these drums, right? They're hard, right? But I want to go crazy, right? This is what I'll do. So I put on Decapitator and I can decide to destroy the drums by clicking on Punish. Woo! I can drive into Decapitator. Woo! That's crazy. So what I can do is I can mix this in, right? So I can stick. And so that way the drums are hitting hard and it just sounds amazing, right? And the beautiful thing about saturation is I can get that loudness and still maintain a lower peak. So at the end of the day, I can drive my song for the loudness that I want without crushing and killing my transient. So I'll probably do another video on saturation and how important saturation is and how you should saturate everything if you can. But Decapitator must have, definitely one of my favorite plugins. My number 3 plugin you will find in all my projects, 100%. At number 2, I have Soothe by Oak Sound. Now, Soothe is a dynamic resonance suppressor. It helps you to tame those resonance in your song. And resonance are like excess frequencies that can happen when you compile so many sounds together and everything is adding up. And then at some point, there will be imbalance in the frequencies. Soothe is a great way to help you to balance those frequencies and, especially in the highs. And because of how sensitive the human ears are, we are very, very sensitive to high frequency sounds, right? So if there's so much high frequency going on in your song, like from the hi-hats to the shakers to the synth and everything is just coming together, it adds up and it's just too much, right? So Soothe is great to help you tame that. So for example, I use Soothe in individual tracks, like for example, my hi-hat, right? If I'm trying to tame my hi-hats and, cut down on those high frequencies. For this hi-hat, I can pick out what frequency I feel like is stressing me out, and then I can tame it. If I bypass, right, you can hear those. If I unmute, right, you can see that it's really helping me to tame that hi-hat to reduce the high frequencies. And this is important because across the mix, right, with the hi-hat, with the synth, with the snare, everything coming together in the highs, over time it just becomes so much going on in the highs, and then that can mess up the balance of the song. And like I always say, there are no bad frequencies. There's just excess frequencies or not enough frequencies, right? So sometimes you just need to find that balance in your mix. And Sooth is the one of the greatest plugins that you can use to actually do this and still maintain the integrity of your song. Um, I use Sooth also on like the entire mix, right? So if once I'm done with the song and I feel like, oh, I still want to, before my mastering, right? I still want to tame some of the highs, right? I can just put Sooth on my master bus and just drive it a little bit to just help me clean up, of the frequencies. And it's not just limited to the high frequencies. I can also use it to clean up some of the mud, in the low mids and all that. So number two, Sooth by Oak Sound. At number one, the last but not the least, is Gold Clip by Schwab Digital. Now, I'm not really going to talk so much about this because I have a whole video showing exactly how I use Gold Clip in my workflow and why I really love Gold Clip. You can click the link here and watch that video. But I really love Gold Clip because it gives me that final, 10%, that final shine, that final glue for my mix, and just puts everything together. As a clipper, and I use it to, you know, manage my transients and my dynamic range. And I can also use it to drive for loudness, right? So it's that final plugin that I always put on my mix to just add that last shine for my song. So yeah, number one, Gold Clip. Right, so there you have it. Those are my top 5 plugins that I definitely have in all my sessions. Let me know if these are your top 5 plugins also, or if you have any plugins that you think should be on this list, or that I should know about. Comment, put that in the comment, and share, like, subscribe, and peace.